Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 1 of the Student Spotlight. I'm so excited to have you here today because we have a really special guest on, Melissa Stina. Oh, she's coming all the way from the Ontario market, all the way from her kindergarten class. Melissa is an educator and also a loving mother of 2 young boys and an amazing husband. And she's going to be sharing about her journey of how she's balancing the life of an educator to creating multiple streams of income in real estate investing, and how she's pursuing her goal to create those experiences and those memories with her children and her loving husband. And I'm really excited for her to share her story with you and for you to enjoy. So let's get right into it, shall we? Restart. So hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spotlight session. I'm so excited today to have a really special guest on here. I have Melissa Stina on here, and I'm really excited to get to know you a little bit more here and really get you to share a little bit about your story. So just wondering if you could do a quick introduction of yourself and like where you got and when you got started in real estate, and just a little bit about you.
Of course. Thanks, Kyle. Well, my name is Melissa Stina, and I'm from Newmarket, Ontario, but I always consider myself a city girl because I was born and raised in Toronto and was there for most of my life until I had kids. So I'd like to say still I'm from Toronto, and I've got 2 precious young boys, Sebastian and Julian, ages 10 and 9, and my hubby John and my little fur baby Gizmo. He's a little Maltese Shih Tzu, and pardon the language, but yeah, he's a white fluffy little thing with a big mouth. So it's kind of my life in my little bubble and revolves around that. And I am a teacher by trade, kindergarten teacher to be exact, and an entrepreneur by nature. So it's only natural that I ended up venturing into real estate investing. It was the next step on my list of things to do anyways for a long time. So I'm glad I'm finally here and took the leap to start.
Fantastic. I love that. And 2 boys and a husband. That is a lot of male energy in the household. So that
And
so
the dog is a boy too, and we had a
oh my
fish
god.
that was a boy once as well.
Oh my god.
I'm pretty sure the dust bunnies are boys too.
So you got a little bit of testosterone in the house, but amazing on you though. That's awesome to deal with. What am I saying? Men are easy, right? No, I'm just kidding. No, that's awesome. So I guess what got you started? Because you mentioned like you're so happy you got started, which I love. But what actually got you to get started, even in rolling with TYT and getting educated?
Well, getting into real estate is something that I've known that I've wanted to do for a very long time, because I come from a family of real estate investors, going back to my grandparents who immigrated to Canada from Italy like a long time ago. Like we're talking, it's been over 60 years now since they immigrated to Canada, and they bought property multiple in Toronto. My dad owns properties in Toronto, my uncles multiple, and it just goes on. So it was a natural next step in what to do in adulting for me because I was just following in the footsteps of my family. But it was just a matter of the timing and when, because I mean, we're talking years, probably 20 years that I've been thinking about it since I was a kid even. And one of the reasons that the timing of now, like why I started last year pursuing this, was just because of a change of circumstances in life. As I mentioned, I'm a teacher by trade, so I do have a full-time job teaching. And as everybody knows, because we all lived through the chaos of COVID, and people with children, you'll know what it feels like, because it was chaos on all sides, parents, teachers, everything alike, right? Students. So part of that chaos was that I started a full-time position in September, teaching kindergarten face-to-face. All was well, and then a reorganization happened, and just due to seniority, I was plucked away and shipped off to teach virtual school. And it was a challenge for one, because I loved my kindies. We had already had almost a month together and I wholeheartedly loved them. They loved me. We had a bond, a connection. I had spent lots of money to set up my classroom and I was settled in my ways. And yeah, I got shipped off to teach virtual school with children from all across York region. So we're talking like they don't know each other. They don't go to the same school. It was just kind of a mishmash of students. And it was definitely an adjustment. And I think, actually, not I think, I know, not just one of the hardest times in my teaching career of over 10 years, but the hardest times in my life. And I think one of the biggest challenges for that was because I was still getting over a concussion. So long story short, I ended up getting hit in the head with a basketball. Yeah. We're talking a couple months prior to starting in September, because one of the grade sixes was like, look at this shot. And he was so excited. And he was like, yeah. And then I was not even paying attention to where the ball was going. It was like a delayed reaction. And I heard, look at this shot. And then by the time I turned my head, the ball bounced off of whatever, the net, the backboard, who knows, and then hit me on the side of my head. And it just got the right spot, like temple, ear, I don't know. My ears were ringing, everything went black. And who would have thought I ended up with a concussion? So I know. And like, obviously it was an accident, no big deal.
That was my next question.
But I didn't have to look at the shot. I felt the shot. I felt it.
Oh my God.
So that being said, I basically begged the school board to please keep me teaching face-to-face as long as possible. Because up until December, our region was still having face-to-face classes as an option as well. It wasn't until later in the school year that everything shut down and went virtual, but still I could have really used that time to recover. Like, I don't know if anybody watching here has ever had a concussion before. Have you had a concussion, Kyle?
I actually have not, believe it or not. So
okay, you're lucky, because when you do, like, the light hurts, everything hurts your brain. It just like pierces behind your eyes and your brain. And it's, obviously there's a reason that the doctors tell you no screen time or very little, right? So, and unfortunately, despite submitting 4 medical notes, the school board was just like, well, we don't have a position for you face to face. It's either this online or nothing. Like, it's this or you're out of work. And I was like, but I like, please give me something, anything, because I can't. It was really painful to be in front of a screen all day. And what they said after that was like, oh, well, you can just go on disability. And so I just felt like my needs weren't being met. Like, I was just another number in a corporation or in a big business. And like, they didn't really care. They weren't listening to me. And I don't know if anybody can relate of that feeling of being like just another number with your employers. Like, so that was the moment where I decided something needed to change, where I needed a backup plan, like something else. Because I didn't want to just go on disability and get 70% pay. Like, that's not how I am. I told them I'm fully capable of working, just accommodate me, keep me face to face, but that wasn't an option. And so I just remember this feeling of feeling trapped. Like, I didn't have any options. I didn't have a choice. It was either I do this job, even though I love my students, love my kindies. But at the same time, when I was putting myself in a position where I was actually doing more harm because I was going against what the doctors told me, like little screen time, and hurting myself, it was painful. The headaches, like, they were terrible. And that's when I realized I needed something else. I needed a plan B, plan C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z. I just didn't want to ever feel trapped again. I wanted to be in a position where when I work, where I work, how, all of that, it gets to be my choice, right? Which leads to, I guess, financial independence as well, right? Where it gets to be my choice. So long story short, kind of long story, actually. But that's when I started looking more into, okay, I want to do real estate investing, but how, And while I do have family, at the same time, being a teacher myself, I do value education very highly. So one link led to another, and I came across Daily Dose with Tim, the videos that he posts all the time. And actually, I can still hear it in my head. How he says Daily Dose with Tim. Because I binge watched almost all of Tim's videos. And it was so inspiring. I loved his energy. I loved that there was concrete information. It wasn't just wishy-washy general stuff that left you hanging like you were interested, but you wanted to know more. It was more like there was actually value there. He actually taught us stuff. Like he did his little equations and calculations and cash flow and definitions and everything. So that's what made me decide to move forward, was the timing with my bad experience with the board. And why TYT was because I loved Tim's energy. I trusted him. I appreciated the value that he brought through the Daily Dose of Tim's. And I just wanted more, because there was enough value there that it left me hungry for more.
Wow, that's amazing. And definitely it's Daily Dose with Tim. However, it is the Daily Binge with Tim, I always find. But,
exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy though. Like you had because even you were mentioning there, it was the students merged together. I didn't know that. So they actually took different schools and actually brought them into one, like a Zoom call or Google Meet.
Exactly. Yep. Out of my whole class of almost 30 kindergartners, only 2 of them actually knew each other and were from the same school. All the rest were from all across York region. And like I said, I love my students, but let me tell you, it wasn't until March, and I started teaching them in October. It wasn't until March that I truly felt like I had a connection with these students, which is heartbreaking. Because like I said, when I started in September, it was only a month, and these kids were they were calling me mom sometimes. Like we had a bond so strong. And the fact that, it took until March to really form that same bond with the virtual students, it was hard, let me tell you.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, I'm even thinking, how do you keep a classroom full of kindergartners calm and actually organized in that? That's especially if they don't know each other. Although that might help, because they may get to know each other, but not have that tight relationship where they can play as much, I guess. But no, that bravo, because that would not be easy. At least I would think.
Yeah, Puppet became my best friend. Body break videos, and I can't tell you how many times I had to repeat myself. No spamming the chat box. They would just write gibberish. Once they discovered the chat box in Google Meet, it was just like doo-doo-doo. And then when they discovered emojis, that was kind of cool. Then I was proud of them, actually. They could spam the chat box with emojis all they want.
That's awesome. And I was kind of curious, because I have an Italian background too. Where are you actually from? From Italy? I actually don't know.
Well, I was born here, but my dad and my grandparents, they came from Catanzaro, which is in Calabria, which is the bottom part of the boot of Italy.
Absolutely. Very cool. Okay.
Yeah. What about from your side?
My side, I'm thinking, that's where my head went. I'm like, what was the part? Because it was my grandparents that came from there. So I've never been yet, but I believe it was Grimaldi, if I remember correctly.
I feel like that's more north.
It was. We are a little bit on the south, so I may be getting it confused. But I remember we were near the toe of, I guess, Italy. But it's been a while, so I got to check on my own history. But that's amazing. So I guess that was the financial independence. So I'm guessing that's your first goal that you're looking to do, is just to get that freedom behind it. And I'm curious, even what your goal is, because I know we talk about the S&P formula and that. What is it for you that you're working on?
Okay. Well, S&P, let's see if I remember this correctly. You can quiz me. strategy,
Got it.
market, and property. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right on the money.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got me worried for a second there. Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in terms of strategy, my two baby strategies are rent to own, otherwise known as lease options, the technical term. That's my first. And my second is multi-unit residentials. And I'll explain why. So I have a deep passion actually for lease options because I love how it's a type of strategy that it's a meaningful investment where it can really, really help a family who just needs a hand up, not a handout, but a hand up, you know? And
Absolutely.
just for as an example, if I can just give an example, there's a couple that I'm working with right now, and they have just started house shopping with for the lease options, rent to own, and they're a couple from Bracebridge, so sweet, and they're in their mid 40s, and they've been married for a while, but they've been renting for over 11 years now. So that's a long time. Can you imagine renting for 11 years? And one of the things that they shared with me is just why they want to do rent to own now and become homeowners is because they're so tired of just paying every month for somebody else's mortgage and never having that feeling like they're moving forward. And I think, well, can you imagine though, like renting for 11 years? Obviously, yeah, they have right to feel that way. Like they're ready now to move forward. So they're excited. They've got no kids, but they do have their little cat, Chester and Butterscotch. I think it's the names are Chester and Butterscotch. And they're the cutest. I can't wait to meet them, actually, little fur babies. And yeah, they're just, I remember that moment where I told her, the tenant buyer, one of them, that we found an investor for their deal. And she was like, thank you so much. And we're finally at this point in life. I'm so thankful. And it was just like a moment of like, oh, okay, this is why I do this. Like it was a reminder of the meaning and the purpose behind this strategy. It's a really powerful investment strategy. And not even just for the tenant buyers, but also for us, like for me as an investor, because then I get that feeling of fulfillment. And of course, there's really healthy return on investment and cash flow that often comes with rent to own deals. And I love that I get to work with other investors and mortgage agents and real estate professionals as well to make this happen. It's just a win-win for everybody. Like, I love it. I love it. I'm totally biased. I admit
it. No, it's real. It is amazing. And rent to owns or lease options is my baby strategy too. And I absolutely love it. And even for the family that you're working with right now, I do love that because I know some people out there, you know, they're okay with renting and that, but it's when you come across the ones where they're like, it's my dream to own a home. And for me, at least, having meeting those clients and having them fulfill on their dream, that's like it's very rewarding to be able to help someone like that and get them in. So I absolutely love that. You're helping them out, and 2 cats. That's funny. Butterscotch.
And they're huge ones. Like we were having a Zoom call together, and the cat, one of the cats, it was Butterscotch, jumped on the table and was right in front with his big head because they're the breed called Maine Coons. And anybody who knows cats knows that these breeds are huge. They look like lions. Like they've got big heads, big bodies. And it was so funny because the tenant buyer, the husband, he said, every time you talk, the cat comes. Like, you know, like he's looking to see where is that voice coming from. And apparently he doesn't do that. The cat doesn't do that with anybody else. And I was like, ooh, I'm the cat whisperer.
Yeah, oh, that's funny. I was just going to say, that's like first thing popped into my head. I'm like, it sounds like you're a cat whisperer.
Totally am.
But no, that's amazing. And I know for some clients that have pets in that, it can be hard for them to find rental properties. So I love that you're working on that. And you also mentioned too, like multi-unit residential that you're working on as well. And that, like, what markets are you in that?
Yeah, great question. So to clarify, lease options I'm doing in Ontario, where I'm
Okay.
at, and the multi-unit residential, I currently have a few deals on the go in St. John, New Brunswick. Yay!
Very cool.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
what
and with that, actually, I've partnered with a couple other TYT students in a joint venture to pull that one off. So
okay.
I'm very thankful for that experience with them. And why multi-unit residentials? Why New Brunswick? Um, there are many markets out there like that, obviously, where you get a bit of cash flow and the properties are more affordable than Ontario. And St. John's, New Brunswick
Yeah.
is one of them. And what I like about multi-unit residentials is that there's a little bit more security for me in my perspective, in the sense that when you've got 5 units, for example, if one of them is vacant because a tenant needs to leave for whatever reason,
Mhm.
it doesn't hurt as bad because you still have
Mm.
income coming in from the 4 other units.
Very
Whereas
true.
if it's just one property, it's either 0% vacancy or 100% vacancy. You're either making money or you're not, cash flowing or not. And I just felt, being a beginning investor, that was something that made me feel a little bit more comfortable, just in case.
Got it. I love that. And I know you mentioned you had a few projects on the go. Because I know you mentioned it once to me prior, where you said, "Oh, I'm working on a few of them." Are you okay with sharing like what those units are? Like, I think one was like a fourplex or something you were working on.
Yeah, that's right. One is a fourplex, one is a triplex, and one is a duplex. And
Jesus.
yeah, so those 3 properties. And it's interesting because the fourplex and the duplex, those are turnkey and those are purchased off of the same seller.
Okay.
So we just found out today that we were able to make some money in the buy. Woohoo! Because the offer was accepted for less than asking, and on top of that, the appraisal came back higher than what we're paying for it. So there's a bit of money in the buy for that. So that's exciting. And then the triplex, that needs just a little bit of work for the exterior. So the idea there is to buy low, do a little bit of renovations, refinance, kind of like the Burr but multi-unit strategy.
Mhm.
And then after refinancing, take whatever we made extra and recycle that together towards the next property.
That's amazing. I'm proud of you because I met you like day one. So to see how far you've come, because it's been like over a year now, give or take around there, and to see where you're at now from where you were, that's amazing. I love that, and
Thank you.
yeah, that's very proud guy to see what you've accomplished in that. Um,
I have to give a lot of credit though for the multi-unit deals to my business partners, like my joint venture partners. Yeah, because they were the ones that sourced the deal and did a lot of the work, and I've kind of partnered with them as the money partner, the investor in that sense. Yeah.
got it.
But with the rent
Okay,
to own or lease options deals, I'm the managing partner and looking
got it.
for investors to be the money partners. So I actually get to experience both ends of the spectrum, being the money partner and being the management,
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, I love that, and I think you said the other students too were TYT members, if I remember correctly.
Yes, of course. Those are my priority. Those are the ones I prefer to work with.
It is nice to work with fellow educated investor in that. So I love that. Well, I'm coming up to the end of even my questions in that. I'm just curious, is there anything else you'd like to share just about yourself, or anything you think would add value to others?
What else to share? Okay, I have to say thank you. First of all, I have to say thank you to Tim and all the coaches and the mentors,
Mm.
and you, of course, because you were one of the first ones I talked to at Trust Your Talent. And just thank you to everybody, because the education and the support and being a part of this TYT community has enabled me to finally take action. Because, like I said, this has been something that I've been debating, wanting to do for a very long time. And while my circumstances with the school board were kind of the push that I needed to get started and get my education, at the same time, what helps me to move forward, or my why, I guess I'm kind of going into my why here, is, you know, my goal of financial independence. And why is that important? Because I get to make memories with my family, like my boys, my husband. And I just really, I'm at a point or a season in my life where I guess gives away my age. I don't know, but I feel like family just means so much more to me now. And I think it's because I know what it feels like to lose family, which I guess has made me learn to value what I have so much more. Like when I mentioned before my grandparents who immigrated here from Italy and who started this whole real estate investing thing, what I learned from them, for example, is that, well, they came to Canada with zero English. My grandfather only got to grade 6, and my grandmother only got to grade 3 in Italy. They lived on a farm. They were both poor. And all my grandmother ever had for toys was a spoon. Those are the stories that she told me. Yet, once they came to Canada, how did they survive? My grandfather worked for the city. He worked in the sewers. He helped build Toronto and underground, that is. Wow. And my grandmother stayed home to take care of my 5 uncles, 5 children. And if they were able to survive and thrive until their 90s based on the income that they got from their rental properties, if they could do it with zero education and zero English, then anybody can. So it inspires me, for one, to continue their legacy, but also after losing them, after they passed away, God bless them, it was a couple of years ago, within 2 months of each other, that's when, for the first time, I experienced loss. And I found myself, like, I think maybe many of us can relate if anyone's ever lost a family member or someone that you love, even a pet, right? Sometimes you find yourself smelling things that smell like them, like holding on to a sweater or a handkerchief or whatever it is, like something to bring back those memories. And while the sweater works for a while, the smell fades over time, and it's all about bringing back those memories that you've made together, right? And what I found is that those memories are so important, but those too fade after a while when you're just going by what's in your head, right? So part of my why I continue and what pushes me forward in my real estate investing business is I want to make sure that I make memories with my children, with my husband. And in order to do that, you need time freedom, or to do that as much as I want to. Time freedom helps. And you need financial independence, right? Or you're not constantly strapped for cash, and where we can say, okay, let's pick up and go to Niagara Falls for a night, or let's go on a vacay, or who knows, like things to make memories together, and take lots of pictures, because then once, your memory fades, in case you have concussions like me, 3rd time's a charm. Wow. Maybe that's why I have a hard time remembering. I don't know, but I just find that, when it gets to the point where pictures are all you have left and memories are all you have left, that's when I really noticed, or I understood how important family is and making memories together. So that's my why, and why I move forward, and why I'm so thankful, I guess, in that sense, to come back to your question. Like, I'm thankful for TYT because they've empowered me and enabled me to take action, to move forward, to pursue my why, which is to be able to make more memories with my family.
Damn.
Can you relate?
Yeah, I love that. And absolutely. I think definitely had people I've lost in my life. So absolutely having those moments, those experiences with the family is huge. Very huge, especially with your children. So that's amazing. So.
Well, and I even think about for them, it's hard to think about this, but at the same time, like one day I'm going to be gone, obviously, right? And then all they're going to have left of me is those memories, those pictures of things that we've done together, the memories that we made together, because the smell of my clothes will fade eventually. And, it's really important. I want to set that up for them too.
No, I love that, and it's even like passing down essentially that
I get
legacy.
emotional. Kyle,
No,
I'm
thank you.
wearing makeup today, Kyle. You can't make me cry.
No, but thank you for sharing, because I'm feeling it as well. So thank you for sharing. I know that sometimes can be very tough, and yeah, that's amazing though. Being able to have that legacy with the kids and those experiences and scrapbooking, which is always fun. And I know you said 5 uncles too, which males run in the family. I see with you.
Yeah. Well, and the 2 boys that I have. Yep. And my husband, he's one of 4 boys.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Yep. So
amazing.
Strong.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much for being on here today. And I'm really amazed and grateful to have you actually part of the TYT community in that. And I'm so amazed and honored to see the results you've been getting and how you've grown and how you've just hit the ground running and taken the bull by the horns and setting that example for the kids. I absolutely love that. And yeah, you're a rock star. So,
thank you so much, Kyle. I really appreciate the opportunity to do this. And especially since it's the first one, like, no pressure. It's so exciting at the same time. I'm honored, privileged. Like, honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Oh, speaking of heart, hustle and heart. Thank you from the bottom of my hustle and heart. That's the name of my business, by the way. That's why.
Oh, God. I was going to say, I kind of like that one. I'm going to take that. The hustle and art.
Inside joke, I guess. But clearly you weren't on the inside.
I missed that one. And I see how it is. No, I'm just kidding. It's okay, because everyone gets to be part of the inside joke now. But yeah, thank you. Thank you again for being on here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening there. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what your future results are and talking to you really soon.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye for now. That wraps up episode number 1 of the Student Spotlight. Thank you so much for being here today. If you did like Melissa's stories, please make sure you click that like button at the bottom. Share this video with anyone you can think of that would get some value from it. And of course, click the notification bell at the bottom so that you're up to date on all our brand new content that's coming out. And last but not least, smash that subscribe button so that you become a member of the community. I'm your host, Kyle Body, and Trust Your Talent's mission is to create financial independence, one person at a time. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.